Okay, so I'm going to go very quick into this. If you have presented to me, and just to reiterate this, you will be presenting all the time, doing with Rachel, you will be presented with John, you will be presented with similar people. Why? Because you, maybe few of you will take the MCAT or will take one of those exams, but in most of you, the test, I don't think that you will take too many tests when you finish the university. Later, what you will do is to have work interviews, and you will have to learn how to communicate scientifically, yeah, in using complex language in a simple way. So we try that you present as much as you can, so you learn some skills about that. Some of the jobs will require that you use PowerPoint or any of these softwares. So we are going to practice some of those things. There is a video there that I posted. If you one day have a very important presentation, recommend you to watch this video. I'm going to highlight some of the things that she said. Rachel also has the similar book that she wrote, but it was the one that I gave you to skim with some important things. Yeah, it's this book, and it could be very useful. Okay. So we will talk about some of these components, and more than tell you that when you're making your presentation, you can give a look to these things. So I'm going to tell you what to do and what not to do in a research talk. So Derek, what do you understand from this slide here? Yes, nothing. There's too much information in that. Yeah, and I am going to tell you how many of those presentations I received. And in a conference, many times somebody sent me 6 years of data in one slide and tried to explain it in 30 seconds. It's impossible. So I'm going to tell you that maybe we should try to avoid that. And remember that not everybody's an expert. And so try to make as easy as for everybody to read it. So thing that you should do in the research is that the idea is it's like when you're showing a movie, you're not going to be able to. I was talking to Maya and say like that a research talk and your poster is like a trailer of a movie that it has to motivate people to read your paper, not the opposite. It's not like I'm going to tell you in 10 minutes, 21 movies, you know, all the stories all together is not possible. Yeah, it has to be the opposite. You just have to give one single idea, very simple. Please try not to impress the audience about how much you know, because this doesn't work. You end up confusing them. To tell them everything that is in your paper, there is no need to do that. It's impossible. And try to not if you try to present every single detail, it will be a mistake. So try to make it as simple as possible. For your poster, if you want to get an A+, you can present your poster and record it, and try to not present every single idea. You just present of the poster because it's 5 years and you cannot summarize 5 years in 10 minutes. You just take a single story that is simple for you to understand, to explain. This is super annoying, but I put not for you now, but for like every time that you present, this is important that you know that PowerPoint is wonderful, but sometimes you don't need to have a heading of 70 in a slide. And Adriana, you know what it says here? Yes, Jenna, could you read it? Yeah, so try to avoid this. Try to go at least to this one, to 24. Okay, so just to tell you some of those things, and I always see those things. I'm going to talk about some things about PowerPoint, and this is something that there is a lot of variation on your presentation, but don't go too high or too low on this, and there is always a problem in that in the presentation. Angus, could you read this? No. Jenna, could you read the first one? So this one, so this is it. I just like this sounds silly, but I found so many times that, and this take more time for you to decorate the slides like that. If you're going for a work interview, don't do it. That is, try to these one are the ones that are faster to read, and for accessibility purpose, I will use this one and this one. Even this one, they take longer, and you can try it in the video. You can see, and she showed video. She showed and compare two things, and these ones are much faster. You just read it much faster. So just you don't have to memorize this for the test. Which one of those? Just, and if I put that, ask me, and I remove it. But the idea is, don't make it too complicated. This is the sizes. If you see the beginning is impossible, and then you can start. Yeah, and if you go higher than these, it just get too higher. Yeah. So this is also super annoying. Have different colors. That is not necessary for a presentation. I used to love to do this. To have everything in capital letters. Felicia, why is bad to have things in capital letters? Yeah.
I can't really tell, like, what's emphasized or not, maybe.
Yeah, so some people say that right now in text it's like you're shouting, but also that is more difficult to read like that. So try to avoid all capital letters because it's just more difficult to read. So be careful with the font, be careful with the colors, and try to go in the text around 20, 24. You can even go higher, but don't go lower than 22, and don't go higher than 44, even in the titles. I know this will look like Nicholas, why you are asking me this, because I have seen it so many times in the presentations. Don't try this. Yeah, try to decorate things, but not in this way. Yeah. Do you remember the problem that we have here with this projector? That it doesn't look well. So when you go to a presentation, I have seen the most beautiful presentations in a computer that some students send me, and when they show it here, the projector changed the color a little bit, and they look like a green lemon, and yeah, it was just, so if you go for a work interview, try to use white or dark backgrounds, and I will show you that in a second. Use contrast, don't use those horrible colors. Again, don't use gradients. Yeah. So if you go for a work interview, and you can use decoration and things if you want, if you know the projectors, I will go with a dark background and the light text, or you can go in the opposite, and it's much easier to read, especially for scientific presentations. Okay. Okay, why this is bad? Zia, why do you think it's bad? It's not clear, and there's people in the audience that sometimes they are color blind. So yeah, sometimes like I have seen some of the professors like, wow, why you use those colors that look so amazing in your presentation? They said, actually, because I am colorblind, so I need to use this type of color. So just remember and try to make more accessible. Don't change colors. Here I'm comparing the same information. This one will be impossible to read. This one you can easily read it much faster. Okay. Try to avoid to have this long text. the maximum that you can read is 2 sentences in a presentation. You can unveil it. I like to do that. It take longer. But Noella, could you read this?
You want to read it out loud?
Yeah.
Okay, the reason for limiting text blocks to 2 lines is that when the text block goes on and on forever, people in the audience are going to have to make a huge effort to read the text, which will preclude them from paying attention to what you were saying. Every time you lose their focus, your presentation suffers.
So imagine everybody had to stop and listen to her, and it was complicated. Yeah. Imagine if I am talking and I'm showing that, nobody's going to understand. However, you can listen to me, and if I read it for you, you can, yeah. So, and it's much easier to read limit text block to no more than 2 lines. That is easier to read. I can say that this one, nobody's going to actually read it. Okay, so tomorrow, if you want to, tomorrow we're going to talk about the posters. So far, you read the paper, that you create the frameworks of the paper. If you read it better, you have a better framework. Then you have to identify which were the main components. Yeah, and tomorrow the idea is see how to assemble the poster. If you want to get a C or an A+, I can show you tomorrow which, like, for example, you can add a presentation of your poster, and you can do it just by talking about the poster, recording your presentation, or you can create a QR code and have an additional presentation of the poster. Yeah. If you want to get an A+, if you say, generally at this point, when you have to submit the poster, you're so busy that you're like, Nicholas, just let me finish this and this is done. But tomorrow I will give you more time to do, we're going to do an exercise, and I will give you, again, more time for you to work in your poster. And if you have a question, I can sit with you and try to help you to solve the question and to simplify your poster so you get a better grade. I used to send a video of each one of you with the mistakes of your poster, but I feel that nobody watched them because you are too busy. So if you have a question about your poster, we can solve it tomorrow, or you can contact me, and I have been talking with some of you. Okay? See you tomorrow.